So hello, everybody. Welcome to NEDLA's open house.
Oh, okay.
And it's great to see you all. And there's a lot of new faces for me, at least, and some places I already know, some faces I work with, some I went to school with, some who are my professors. So it's great to see everybody here. So I'm going to try to share screen. Okay, so
here we go.
Okay, let's see. So just have a quick little agenda today. It's very informal. Just want to welcome everybody and then, talk about what is or who is NEDLA. Lou can give a little background on that, history. And then Rod is going to go through our website so people haven't seen that before. And then we'll just discuss how the organization is changing and how we're going to move forward. And then just open up to questions for anybody. So again, welcome to everybody. I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for making time in your day for us. So who are we? So first of all, some of the people are here. And I thought we'd let everybody give a chance to introduce themselves. So if Steve would like to start.
Sure. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you again for coming out tonight. And thank you for all of the support you've rendered throughout the years of our PADLA organization before it came NEDLA. We're very pleased to have moved into a new generation of leadership of this organization after more than 20 years. And I'm just thrilled and delighted that Doug has picked up the opportunity to be the new president of NEDLA. And I'm really looking forward to supporting him and to seeing the organization move on to bigger and better things in the years ahead. So thanks to everybody for being here. And thank you, Doug, for giving me a chance to say hello.
Thank you. Lou?
Yeah, hey, hi everybody. Lou Strickoff here. I'm sure most of you know me, if not by face, but definitely by reputation and definitely by email blast. So what's been going on in the organization? As you could see, my beard is getting grayer over the years. And Steve and Rod and some of the original board members and people have decided to think about our futures. I know me personally, I've been retiring from a lot of things I'm doing and taking up things like grandchildren and boats and sitting on the beach and just trying to enjoy retirement. I think it's a great time for us to do this. We recently had a name change from Pennsylvania Distance Learning Association, which is Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, as you all know, to NEDLA, which is now the Northeast Digital Learning Association. Doug is fantastic, guys. And he is trying, and we're going to be helping. Nobody's vanishing is what I'm saying, okay? We're all going to be here to support the new direction and make sure this legacy lives and lives on. So I'm very excited about things. I know that Steve, Rod, and myself are going to remain somewhat on the board. And the people who are coming in, and hopefully there'll be some great people with some new energy. We'll be there to support you and mentor you and make sure this organization grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And many years from now, when the older guys and gals are no longer around here, you can say, oh, I remember Lou when. Okay. So thanks. As I always say, thanks for your support. You know, it's not just us, it's our people who support us. So thank you. And thanks, Doug. Yeah. Okay, I know Doug wanted me to talk a little bit about the history on the next slide. Or are you going to go through each person there, Doug? You're muted, Doug.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
The thing that went away from the screen.
Yeah.
Dominique?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of the transition, have worked with those that contributed so much and are acting so humble today. I don't know why, because they really, spearheaded this organization and really devoted a lot of thinking very good ideas and events that many of you participated. I don't think I ever left a PADLA event without having learned something new that I could bring it back to my institution where I work. So not only I've been privileged to serve PADLA, but I've been also privileged to learn from PADLA and bring it back to my day-to-day activities. I'm excited to stay on board and assist Doug, still in the role of Vice President of NEDLA. And I'm very excited that you're all here, because that means you're interested in being part of this new initiative and think together with all of us of what's next, what can we bring to the current situations that we have. I just wanted to briefly say that just before I joined this meeting, I placed a lawsuit against the media, because I think this notion of balance and work-life balance is what got Lou, Steve, and Rod to together make a choice to, retire from this organization. I don't think that was very fair, but just as a joke. Rod, you're next.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. It's been my pleasure to work with PADLA, now NEDLA, for quite a few years. In fact, it probably coincided with when I started at the University of the Sciences, U Sciences, and coincidentally, I'm also retired from U Sciences as of July 1. So I'm trying to pursue the one of the better occupations, which is leisure these days. And I don't like to say I'm retired. I'm just under new management, so I get to manage myself, although it's certainly a partnership with my wife. But I will continue to help NEDLA move forward. As you know, I've been involved with the website, among other technologies, and I'll continue to do that, but happy to mentor someone who wants to take over some of the Director of Technology responsibilities. So again, I want to thank you all for coming, and hopefully we can all work together to make NEDLA a great organization and continue things. So with that said, let me pass on the mic, and we can talk a little bit about the website later if we have time. Thanks.
I'm not sure if, I know Susan was going to try to make it on. Is she here? Okay, maybe not. And then Brian, I know he can't make it tonight. He's also on the board. And then myself, I just want to thank everybody, like I said before, for being here. I've been involved with NEDLA or PADLA for about 10 years now. It's been, like Dominique said, I've always gone to the meetings and come back with something really exciting, thought about something new, met great people. So it's great being part of the organization as it transitions with leadership and into another decade of service to the community. So I'm really happy to be here to help everybody. Let's see. There we go.
All right, I know Doug wanted me to talk a little bit about the history, and I think most everybody who's online kind of knows. So over 20 years that we've been together as a group, it went by so fast. If you're not feeling this, how things go by quickly, I don't know where you are, because it moved very quickly from just a few people getting together. If you go all the way back in my history, it was an idea basically that I got to generate contacts in the field. I was on a sales side at that point, and I said, hey, why don't we get people together to talk about the use of technology and distance learning, help people in the classroom and in the boardroom. So that's always been our emphasis. The organization, again, hard to believe it's been around that long, and that we've had so many people involved, went through so many trials and tribulations that the public doesn't even know about. I know the board does. And it's been a great ride. And, what's history all about? History is really, past. And that's not what this meeting's about. This meeting is about the future and what we're going to do and how we're going to react to this crazy world that we're now experiencing in education and training and just in our own personal lives. And how do we adjust? How does this organization adjust? And how do we become successful? The time is now. So thanks, Doug.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you said it started back like in 1997 or something like that.
Yeah, it was just about that time that we started the inkling. I think there was a meeting that I called for. At first, we had 12 people show up, and I was quite impressed. 12 people and their ideas, and then we had a bigger meeting, and we had 60 people show up. So at that point, I said, "Oh my goodness, something's going on here," and we better react to this. And historically, I looked around at different organizations, tried to do it our own, went for a 501c3 or whatever that is, nonprofit. We were successful in getting that. And then we rolled into the national organization, USDLA. All that is up for discussion. So, there's the mind is open. I'm going to just really be an observer. As Doug said, there's certain things in my brain that as they come up, I have historical things that happened in the past that I could be a mentor for. And who's ever interested in the executive director position, you really need to talk to me about it. Because I'm pretty straightforward about what it took, how much time, blah, blah, blah. So, it's a good thing. All right.
You had to put your head in a jar.
You mean kind of like in whatever that show is?
Yeah, Futurama.
Futurama. All right.
Yeah.
Now you don't want my head in the jar.
No, okay. So, okay, then next, I guess Rod will go through our website. So for people who are members, probably are familiar with it. For those who are here that aren't members, probably aren't familiar with it, except for signing up and registering for today.
Right. Let me, if you want to stop sharing, I'll share my screen briefly.
There we go.
There we go. And okay, you should see the NEDLA website. I'll just point out a couple of new changes. Certainly, the thing that would be of most interest to folks is what's coming up, our upcoming events. Of course, we have today's event here. And when you see ones like this, where we have a sponsor event, in this case, APHIS, you actually register on their website. And then our next partner event, a free webinar, Fostering Student Engagement Before, During, After Class. That's another free event, and you do register on, you register here, and you're gonna have to register again on the PADLA education. That's the company that we partnered with through this one. It's a European company. We've already have 28 registered. So I point out that. We do have a job board, and I think there's a new job available there, an instructional designer, and you can go in there to designer and distance learning techniques manager. So right now we're offering the free membership, which is a courtesy membership. It gets you into all of the free events. We've temporarily, I guess, paused the full $100 membership. And we do have members that have paid the full $100, and they will have access to our next annual conference, which will be in January. So we will be reinstating that membership too once that announcement is made. We recommend you go to our resources page and link to some of our sponsors. This is my own plug here. I mentioned that I'm no longer at University of the Sciences, but I'm still doing my Pulse podcast. And we have a link to some of our major sponsors here. Also be putting up videos like this presentation will appear first on the homepage, and eventually we'll have more video presentations here of our other events. So that's just a quick tour. I'll just point out also that when you click on the icon here to log in, there's also a link to your profile, so you can manage what people see in the directory, which we temporarily, since we've done some major changes to our contact list, we've temporarily taken off the directory. But you can select the profile and see what you want to have public once the directory goes back up. Okay, so I think that's it for a brief tour of the website. And so, Doug, let's continue with your presentation and our discussion.
Okay, great. Let me go back and share my screen. Okay, so like we mentioned, we're in the process of some change. So the board is changing from we see here with Steve as the president, Dominique as vice president, and so on. And what we're going to be moving over to is, let's see, new board with myself as the president. Dominique is staying on as the vice president, as well as Brian McCauley as the treasurer, and Susan Darlington as an at-large member. So Steve, Lou, and Rod. Rod's staying on for a little bit longer, I guess, to help us with the transition with the website and things like that. But they'll be moving over to like an emeritus position to help us with their institutional knowledge and really help guide us on some of the things that are, historic things that have been going on. So what we're looking for is an executive director, a secretary, go to the next slide, a director of communications, somebody who can help write copy, and somebody who's good with social media, especially looking for that. Director of technology, that would be taking over for Rod, and that'd be somebody who would be working with the website, who would maybe is familiar with Wild Apricot, which is the platform we're using. And that'd be a great opportunity for somebody who's looking for that kind of experience. We're also looking for at-large members or directors. I'm not quite sure how we're going to structure that yet. And that's what we'll do in the upcoming weeks. But we're looking for people that have experience or who are in the K-12 area, higher ed, like community colleges, who are working in, the other types of educational institutions or organizations like libraries, museums, arboretums, and then corporate and nonprofit people as well. Looking for people with experience or interest in emerging technologies and pedagogy, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice. And in general, looking for people who are really into community building, maybe have some experience doing that either online or in person, as well as membership development. And especially something that I always kind of struggle with and really am amazed at people who are strong in this, people who can do programming and really can do event planning and pull those off. It just, to me, it's just, those people are kind of like special and magic because they had that ability to see all those little details and make things happen. So, so basically, if you're the kind of person who wants to do, provide service to your field, the educational technology, the distance learning community, you want to join a community of like-minded people with similar interests, if you're looking for an opportunity to grow and develop as a person, develop leadership skills, or use some of the leadership skills you have, and to help usher NEDLA into the third decade, we're really interested in hearing from you. You can send some information to me. It's just a one-page letter with your contact information, what your interest is, some of your background, and you can mail it to me here at dougko@pcum.edu. And I joined the organization about 10 years ago when I was going through a transition. Before I was doing the job I am now at PCUM, I was in the pharmaceutical industry and made the transition to medical education. And it was a brand new field for me. I didn't really know anything. I started a master's program at LaSalle and then eventually a doctoral program. And one of the key things for me was really joining NEDLA. The meetings that they had really allowed me to go out there and meet people in the area on a somewhat regular basis. I could join or go to these meetings 4 times a year, go to the annual conference, meet people from all different industries, not just my little narrow medical education group. But it really, allowed me to grow at a rate that I would not have been able to do otherwise. So, for me, stepping into the president role is really a way of giving back to the organization and the community. Since they really helped me through this time, and I really want to, have people with similar interests and heart to really help us, meet the new needs of new people and bring in people who are kind of going through the same thing maybe now. So, sorry, I'm just really thankful for Steve and everybody else. So, and here we have, thank you for Lou and Steve and Rod for really making this organization, be the organization it is, and also Dominique and Brian, but especially these three right now, since they're kind of transitioning out. I really appreciate everything you've done, and I wouldn't really be here or the organization without you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions or wants to share anything, you can do so
It would be
now.
nice to see how many of those that are here tonight have attended the PADLA NEDLA event. If you don't mind writing on the chat. And the other thing that I wanted to add to what's being said is the fact of the uniqueness of the mission of NEDLA and PADLA. Because even though there is like gigantic conferences that deal with new technologies, the uniqueness of PADLA and NEDLA is this communication between industry and education institutions. So I think to me, from day one, when I attended my first event, I realized that there was nothing in the region that was fostering that type of conversation. And for those of you that know about the type of events that have been sponsored in the last 20 years, not only they were big conferences once a year, but they also had those quarterly meetings that allowed somebody from the industry, local industries, to bring a problem, and everybody in the room will break out into teams and brainstorm solutions, and we will come up with such a rich learning opportunity and experience from those 2 hours of, like you said, diversity, everybody together in the room. So I really feel that we want to preserve that, and your contribution is going to be very valuable in that regard.
I'm curious about those on the call. What was the main thing that you've gotten out of PADLA, now NEDLA, over the years? So those of you who have been members for a while, what features, what kinds of events did you like the most? Dominique reminded us of the session we had every year where we'd present problems. Had 4 people presenting problems, and they would get all this feedback. I think that was one of the most valuable things that I got out of PADLA. And in fact, I got at least a couple of companies that presented there that I ended up doing a podcast about, because they were so interesting in presenting new educational technologies. So I'm really interested to hear from everybody else.
Oh, if I can just interject something, I'm sure you don't want to hear that much from me, but that particular meeting was really a brainstorm idea from Steve. Said, why don't we do a back to school type of thing, and how can we solve the problem? Because he recognized, and the group is a collective of knowledge that's untapped. And basically, when you present your problem to this group, you're getting free consulting. That would probably, I don't even know where you can get this amount of background in one place. And that's really the power of the organization. I'll be quiet now.
Well, let me throw this out there just to stimulate some conversation. What do you folks think about having an in-person meeting coming this January? Do you think that people are going to be up for it? Do you think we can do that? What's your preference in terms of meeting face to face coming this January?
And I think Susan was just able to join us, Doug. So if you like to call on her.
I was
Oh,
just going to say, everybody's being so quiet. I think I'll talk. I think face-to-face. I think face-to-face is a great idea if the conditions don't de-escalate. I don't really think there is anything that matches that. Zoom is great, but face-to-face, it's so much more powerful. Just my 2 cents. I know if my friend Susan is here, let her speak.
Hi, Susan, you there? Oh, there you are. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, Susan,
You're
I think
muted.
you're on mute.
Susan, I think it's for you. You're muted.
You're muted, Susan.
Susan,
Thank
yeah,
you.
there you go.
Sorry about that. I will start over. I'm on my phone because I was having internet issues. So that's why I'm not in front of my computer right now, but I'm able to attend the event by my phone, which is great. But I agree with Laura. Hi, Laura. It would be nice to get back together face to face, zoomed out. And I think everyone is. So anyway, for those that don't know me, I'm Susan Darlington. I'm the Associate Dean of Bucks Online at Bucks County Community College. Prior to that, I worked at Gwynedd Mercy University, and prior to that, Montgomery County Community College. And prior to that, I was in the corporate world. So that's what I really like about PADLA, that it mixes that higher ed and the corporate. I think that's really important. We both can learn from each other, both entities, and that's really what I liked about it.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for making it.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Zoom fatigue. So what kind of, so thinking about face-to-face, how do you envision that? For me, I haven't gone to a face-to-face anything in like 2 years. So I was wondering what level of comfort people have or something like that.
Yeah, it would be nice if we got to the point where we didn't need a mask. So I'm back at work most days or a couple of days a week, and we still need our mask on. So it just kind of seems to defeat the purpose of being there together. So if we could get to the point where we don't need a mask in January, that would be great to meet. Maybe spaced a little bit apart, maybe our meals and packaged, no one's doing that open buffet these days, that kind of thing.
I could see you requiring proof of vaccination as part of the requirements to come to the event, and then to come unmasked, I would say. And then if you aren't vaccinated, maybe you'd have to wear a mask. That's the decision on your end that you'd have to make. I know our in-person events during the beginning of COVID, so ROI Institute, we conduct certification courses. We had to switch virtually and in person, but we never stopped in-person events. And one of the legal requirements we put in place to save us is just an agreement saying you fully understand the risks you have coming in. I don't know if you need that level of protection on your end, but our CFO and our president felt might as well protect ourselves with a simple form that says, hey, no transfer, and no one got sick. And we did mandate, they be comfortable and vaccinated before they came, because our facilitators didn't want to catch it either. So,
Yeah.
so more for them too. But
I agree, Andy.
I think a face-to-face would be interesting. But again, depending on the restrictions or the requirements that there would be, we would have to adhere to that. And wherever we held that, generally it would be at LaSalle. I don't know if that would be the same spot. We'd have to find out what their restrictions are and what policies they would have, because we would have to follow those policies. The other thing that would be interesting, with wearing the masks. I don't know how comfortable people might feel with that coming back and still wearing masks. It's probably just an option. And like I heard the gentleman say, if you've been fully vaccinated, will the institution allow us to have an event with masks not being worn if people feel safe to do that, or would we be prohibited by the institution from doing that? So those are some requirements that we would have to find out beforehand if we wanted to move in that direction. I think it's interesting. I think people want to get out and people do want to reconnect with people. We just have to be sure of what those requirements are health-wise, because some people are very hesitant about certain things. So, and I've enjoyed being in PADLA, NEDLA. I mean, my network has expanded through NEDLA, PADLA. I've got involved in some activities of the organization that I felt were very rewarding. So it's been a rewarding experience for me. And I appreciate the interaction I've had with most of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Another
Yeah,
option, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Hannah, sorry.
Another option is to survey the members and ask them what they want, what they're comfortable with. Because I know other professional associations have tried to have in-person meetings, but just not many people are comfortable attending.
To that as well, you could also do a hybrid event. You could have both in person and virtual. You could record the sessions, or you could do it live. It's a little more technical on your end, but it does open it up to people who aren't comfortable traveling, but it's still giving that feel. I wouldn't use it. I'm going to say ATD ICE because it was the most recent event where I saw that occurring. I don't think their implementation was quite as good. They had these super sessions, and these super sessions were both in person and recorded. So there are people in the audience which were reacting, but the people in the audience in their case could also log in and listen to any other super session event. So the people in your audience group may not have been paying attention to what you were actually saying. So that made it a little bit weird. But I could see you doing just a direct one-on-one, set up a camera pointing towards the audience, one pointing towards the facilitators or speakers, excuse me, and just running it that way.
Andy, that's an excellent idea. I like the idea of a hybrid. And even though the technology is more difficult, I'm all for it because I'm not going to have to do it.
Thanks, Rod.
And also following what has been happening in the past, which was a great model created by Lou, was the fact that we would always find a host institution, right, to house the event. So I have a feeling that it may be easier to house it at an organizational setting this time if we're going to do it face-to-face than in a university, because the mask mandate will be there for universities in January, most likely, but not only that, with the weather, we will not be able to have meals indoors because you have to keep the mask on at all times that you are inside of a building. But we may, have alternative settings in a different type of organization. So that's food for thought for all of you, your connections, who you know, who could be a host for the event.
Yeah, I mean, Dominique and everybody else, personally, I think last year's virtual event was fantastic. I wish we had way more people attending, like thousands, because we could have handled it. But as far as the technology and the quality of the content, I think we did a great job. So definitely not, in my opinion, adverse to doing another virtual event, because you got to start planning that now. I mean, really, January is just around the corner. And for people who remember, we usually did this in December. We made a decision to, at least at this point, move it to January. And I know we've already been speaking to keynotes at this point. So it's not like we're, avoiding our annual conference, because it's really the driver, unless the business model changes much, but it's really the driver of the organization as far as revenue is concerned. So this is something we have to do moving forward. And things are up in the air. I'd rather be cautious and choose the virtual.
And you can always do one of the quarterly meetings, right? As things normalize in the spring, you have one of those to start bringing. They are shorter also, so they don't require food indoors and things like that. And then we can finally get together again in person.
Yeah.
I'd just like to tell everybody that, from my perspective, there's two things that have always been the challenge. One is more members and also more participants. So that's 1A, 1B. So getting more people involved in the organization is key. And of course, as everybody's been hearing me saying for many, many years, it's also sponsors, because it does take money to run this organization. We're at a point where we have enough to keep things going, but if we're going to be doing the annual conference, there's going to be some bills to pay for that annual conference. So if you know any sponsors to want to get very involved in this organization, maybe more involved than they have ever been, past opportunity was. Please reach out to them and say, hey, PADLA, now NEDLA, is in a transition period, is an opportunity for you to get to the database, which we of course hope that expands. It's close to 10,000, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take members / participants and sponsors / money. So 20 years to learn that.
So thinking along those lines, as people in the field, is there something that you're missing from the other organizations or this organization that you're looking for? Are there needs that you have that aren't being met? There's something that we can, do.
You're building digital learning for impact. Virtual learning experiences has just been, questioned on the impact of what it actually accomplishes, which is always something that's come up with virtual learning. So at the Institute, we're designing for virtual learning, designing to build that impact. But that's what we've experienced asking clients is how do we show that particular value? And it's just not wasted time. And it's especially relevant now because that's all we've got. During recessions, we went back to virtual learning because it was cost effective, apparently. And I see that in quotes, but then we went straight back to in-person learning because they weren't seeing the outcomes, the inherent value of it all. I think this time around, it's going to be a lot different. Working from home and the ability to show that value, as more and more companies are doing, is really going to shift that paradigm over. So I don't think in-person learning will ever go away. I love digital learning, but given a choice, I would still go in person, unless if I couldn't travel or whatever, but prefer in person. There's just that extra interaction, but it's not going to go away this time. I think it's just going to keep going. So we're seeing a lot of that, and it'd be great to have more programs, more speakers around how to do that.
Andy, your name
Maybe
is
that would be
your name
a good challenge for a conference, a theme built around that, and some of the strategies or some of the pitfalls or some of the problems or some of the issues that will be faced as a result of this transition coming out of COVID and some of the changes that businesses and colleges have made. What's the future and what is the direction of that? And can PADLA help individuals understand that and work toward whatever that might be, and give some policy suggestions, give some program suggestions, give some training suggestions might be a good way to run the conference along those lines. And certainly you could add more to that and take away from that. But essentially, if that's a problem and an issue we're going to face, then why don't we try to handle that as a part of a conference or a workshop or something that can address that particular concern? If that sounds, logical, if that sounds okay.
That's a very good suggestion.
Yeah, that is very good.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, Andy, your name is recognizable to me as the ROI Institute. I know that I worked with your organization in the past. Jack and the whole team. If everybody remembers Jack, Jack Phillips was a keynote and a supporter of the organization for a number of years. So I'm glad Andy's here. So
Jack was on earlier. I'm sorry, Lewis. I mean, Jack was on earlier. He had to jump
Yeah.
off because he had another call, but we're sorry to hear you retiring.
Well, as I said, I'm still going to be involved in the organization enough to be kind of like, instead of using the pain in I'll be a thorn in your shoe, but I'll be there for mentoring, and I want to thank ROI Institute for the support over the years. And Rod, I think Andy's somebody you really want to get to know. All right.
Thanks, Lewis.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're happy to speak virtually or do another webinar or even in person. I do know they are looking, both Patty and Jack are looking for in-person events, and they'll jump at any chance to go to an in-person event because they are raring to go. They've been at home far too long, and I want them out of the office. So.
I see that some people are having to leave, so I just want to, before they jump off, say thank you for coming, making the time to listen, and consider contributing and continuing to volunteer with us.
Yes, thank you.
I'd just like to add to that thought, Dominique, that one of the things that made PADLA work so well is the quality of the people that showed up for the meetings and the willingness to lend support. And I hope that a few of you were listening very carefully when Doug went through the roles that he's prescribed to make the organization continue. This is Doug's vision. We didn't necessarily have equivalent positions on our own board, but this is Doug's vision. I just encourage everybody, please step up to the plate, because we really want to keep this thing going. It's such a valuable resource, and but it works best when people step up to take part and bring your expertise. You will not be alone. You'll have a tremendous support network. You'll have a lot of fun working with some wonderful people who are just very passionate about this work. And we'd love to see some fresh ideas and some fresh thought, as well as some new energy and spirit on the board to keep it going. So please, 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 I entreat you, please step up. Let Doug know that you're interested to be part of it. Maybe there was a role up there that you don't feel you can do, but there's something else you have in mind. Let him know. Let him know where your interests are, because we're evolving and growing as we go. We're coming out of COVID that really nobody knows where the future is or where we're going with this stuff. But I just would like to give Doug the best opportunity possible to make the next 10 years of PADLA a wonderful experience for everybody. So please step up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one thing that's always impressed me about the people.
Well said, Steve, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, like a testament to your leadership and everybody else. I've always been amazed at how an idea comes up and then suddenly it happens and it's executed. It's just amazing how much gets done and how everybody just pulls together and just comes up with a great finished product. So it'd be great to have more people like that join the team and just continue with that energy. And
we've had a lot of fun doing it, otherwise we wouldn't have been doing it for 20 years. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming.
And time-wise, don't be scared. We will be working with whatever you can offer. So we are not gonna, if there are weekly meetings at some point and you can't attend them, don't worry, you won't attend them. We'll keep you in the loop. If there are times that you can, offer a few hours a week, a few hours a month, a few hours in quarterly times, it's fine. I mean, your ideas will be appreciated. So come and join us.
They're looking for people, all different types of commitment and interests, definitely. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody. It's great seeing you all. Even though it's not in person.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
hesitate to
Thanks,
contact
everybody
any
for
of us.
support. Please contact Doug if you want to get involved.
And information will be on the
Other
website too.
Positions, however you could help. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.